Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's Less Than 10 Talk. I'm Piper Harris, the coach and CEO of Poema Women's Success Coaching. So, Less Than 10 Talks, I'm hoping to give you some tips and tools for you to add to your leadership toolbox. This week is a wonderful topic. It's about resilience and grit. And also, I'm thinking of ahead of time. Next week is National Women's Day, and thinking about resilience and grit and celebrating women all across the globe, we also have an opportunity to teach the young women in our lives how to have resilience and grit. Now, listen, you know, as an entrepreneur, you need resilience and grit. You also know, as an employee hoping to break through that broken rung and ask for that promotion, you're going to need resilience and grit. And you also know, is if you are leading a thriving organization, you need resilience and grit. So how do you find it? How do you keep it? Here are 6 steps that are going to help you do so. And keep in the back of your mind, how can you engage a young woman in your life in these 6 steps as well? Teach her up how to build resilience and keep that grit. So number 1 is your growth mindset. If you know of Carol Dweck, she is the leading expert on the growth mindset. What I love about what Carol says is not yet. So when you're faced with an issue, when you're faced with a problem, when you're faced with a failure, it's not I'm a failure, it's I just haven't gotten there yet. So when you're focusing on where you're building your leadership skills, are you a failure or have you not gotten there yet? Keep that at the forefront of your mind. Number 2, you need to assess your abilities realistically. We are our own worst enemy. Women in general, we beat ourselves up. So you need to assess your abilities realistically. If that means that you're going to be engaging a trusted coworker, possibly a trusted family member or friend, ask them for help to have a realistic view of your abilities. Also, have a realistic view of those gaps in your leadership and what you need to work on. This is all about that open mindset, keeping that growth mindset. You're not there yet, so you have to assess things realistically. Don't beat yourself up, and also don't soften things either. This is all about building up your leadership skills and building your resilience and grit. Number 3, you must challenge yourself. I know it's exhausting. I know it's exhausting as an entrepreneur that you just don't want another challenge. But challenging yourself develops you and grows you. So lean into challenging situations. So many times it's been said that women, when they apply for positions, they feel like they have to have 90 to 99% of the qualifications that are in the job announcement. Conversely, men need 60 to 70%. They say, I don't have it, but I'll get there. And they go ahead and apply. So I challenge you. Challenge yourself to step into something where you don't quite feel like you have solid footing. To challenge yourself means to grow yourself, to develop yourself. And when you're challenging yourself, make sure that you're creating those allies in that team that can help you along the way. Number four, you have to learn when to take a break, I speak a lot of times with my clients about a continuum. We have that sweet spot right in the middle. Over here, this is really challenging and it hurts. We know the situations that hurt really bad. Over here, you're lazy. You're sitting on the couch eating your bonbons. Think about yourself in the middle. This is your comfort zone. It hurts just a little bit, but you can comfortably move through it. However, you need to understand when you start getting to the real painful points, where is your breaking point? You have to learn to take a break before you are broken. So many times my clients come to me and they just let things build up and build up and build up. And then what happens? They fall apart. Their marriages fall apart. Their finances fall apart because they just up and leave their job. Their emotional life falls apart. So learn on your continuum, where's that stressful but comfortable spot that you can work within. And when you start getting to the real painful area, where is your break? You need to develop that and know, okay, this is cluing me in. I've got to take a break. Next up, you have to have a plan. Listen, resilience and grit takes practice, and you need to have a plan. I'm not saying to plan for the worst case scenario, but that's not actually a bad idea. To have a plan of how you're going to work through some of these issues that you might be faced with in your leadership life. What's your plan when you're building out your business and you're going to leave your corporate job? What's your plan as an entrepreneur and all of a sudden your sales take a nosedive? What's your plan as a leading executive when your entire team decides to mutiny? You have to have a plan. You have to have a plan. And this is just going to bring up that resilience and grit in you because you've thought through it. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to think through every single step of the plan because life is going to throw you some curveballs. But it is so important for you to have a plan when these inevitable situations come up. Last one. And I know all of us women could use a little bit more of this. You have got to include self-care. What does self-care look like for you? For myself, that's making sure I get my sweat on before I start my day. And it also means I have self-care Saturdays, and my boys make fun of me. I turn on my 90s coffee house rock, so I listen to all my old tunes. I put on a face mask. I paint my fingernails and my toenails, and I sing along to Natalie Merchant and Pearl Jam, whoever comes on. I love my self-care Saturdays, but this is something that I have put on my calendar, and my family understands. I'm off limits. I'm taking care of myself today. So think about your self-care and put it on your calendar. So how do you build resilience and grit? And how can you lead other young women in building their resilience and grit? Growth mindset. You're just not there yet. You're not a failure. Assess yourself realistically. Ask some individuals to help you assess yourself if you're really having a hard time seeing the positives and maybe those opportunities to work on your leadership skills. Number 3, challenge yourself. You have to lean in. Like I said, so many women think they need to have 99% of the qualifications on a job announcement. It's not true. Lean in and challenge yourself. That is your growth opportunity. Number 4, you got to know when to take a break so that you don't break. Find that sweet stress spot that you can comfortably work in, but understand when things start getting really close to the pain spot that you need to be able to take a break. You also have to know, what is my plan? You've got to think about the worst case scenario. How are you going to manage this? What's going to take place? This is how you're going to work through emotionally and mentally building up that resilience when you are faced with those inevitable hard times. And lastly, don't forget about self-care. Put this on the calendar. Make sure your family and your friends are well aware that this is something that you need to build and thrive yourself in a leadership and thrive in your leadership position. Resilience and grit. We need it personally and professionally. How can you utilize these 6 steps? And how can you encourage a young woman in your life to build on these as well? Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm Piper Harris with Poema Women's Success Coaching. This is the Lesson 10 Talk. If you're wondering how to navigate all of these steps in building resilience and grit, I would love to speak to you. As a women's leadership success and executive coach, I work with you through these things. I work to help you find that professional and personal balance in your life. I help you to navigate those gaps in your leadership skills. So if you have questions, I'd love for you to head over to my website at piperharris.net. Send me a message, get to know me a little bit more for a complimentary consultation, and see how Poema Women's Success Coaching can help you. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next week.